Hi friends, this is Loli. Welcome to my channel. Today we will be working on this little gnome. I got this gnome from the Dollar Tree and I went over and painted it with this white. Once that was painted and dry, I took some more of the same paint and I am just stippling it onto where the beard will be at. I want this to have the texture of hair, so this is why I'm doing this. I just kept going until it kind of looked like hair, pretty much. When I moved up to the part that is close to the nose and to the burlap piece there, I was very careful not to get any paint onto the burlap because I want to leave that exactly how it is. So I just try to use, my brush at different angles, trying to avoid that area. Once I was satisfied, I went over and painted over the mittens and the butterfly just to remove any excess paint that came from the stippling before. The butterfly was kind of flat for me, so I took the same paint and I am creating some grooves on it using a thick layer of paint just to give this a little bit more depth. I did that with the top part of the butterfly, the bottom part of the butterfly, and the middle part. You will see there is some raised area. That is just some paint that I added just using this technique I'm showing you here. Once I was done with the butterfly, I moved on to the feet. Here, the piece of wood had tiny little grooves, and I just wanted that to be filled in. So I just used paint to do that. Then I dried away my heat gun, and then I'm coming in with the celery from Waverly, and I'm going to go ahead and paint the gnome's hat, its mitten, and its feet. I just make sure to fill in all my green, and then once everything was nice and covered, I am coming in and making sure that I do the strokes in an intentional way. I'm trying to make this look like it has a little bit more depth to it, so I just try to make it look like it had different shadows. And I repeated the same technique with the mittens. With the mittens, I had to make sure to, carve out from the butterfly the mitten itself right there. And then I just filled it in. And I came back in with the brush being a little bit drier. And I'm just, taking off some of the paint, creating some variation in color just to give it a little bit more texture and a natural feel. I did the exact same thing with his little feet. Look at him, guys. Isn't he look so cute? I love this little guy. If you see right there, I am trying to carve out the same image of the mitten and the shoes just to give it more variation, and you can see that it's a little bit more defined. It's not as flat as if you just painted it the same color. Now we are going to use this yellow paint from, I think it's sunset yellow. I can't remember the name of it right now, but I used that from Apple Barrel, and I'm going to go ahead and do a very light coat of it, and I'm going to go in and keep blending it in until it has the same different variation, and you can see some of the white poking through, and this came out so cute. Look at it, guys. For the middle and the indentation, I used this color from Apple Barrel. It is called Sun-Kissed Peach, and I just filled in I just filled in the parts that I created the grooves in just to give this a little bit more definition and depth, and I put it right on the nose because I'm going to use the same color to go ahead and paint the nose. And we are done with this little guy for now. Now it's time to go to the next step. We're not done with this DIY though. And see there, you see the texture of the hair? I love that. All right, so I got this wreath from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to remove the jute cord and the tag, and I'm going to position my gnome right on there. So I just set him right on the ledge, trying to make sure that his feet can also be seen from all that greenery there, and I just attach it using a tiny bit of hot glue in the areas in which the gnome touch the circle. Then I came in with this polka dotted ribbon from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to go ahead and create a bow for the top of his hat. So I just folded it like you see there. I scrunched it up in the middle, tied it off with a piece of jute cord, and then I'm gonna go ahead and cut off the excess ribbon. Now that that part of the bow is completed, I'm going to take another piece of the same ribbon and I'm going to create some tails. So I just cut off another piece, put it in the back. I kind of made like a V, like a backwards V or a downward V to complete the tails there. And I just dovetail the ends of the tail really quickly. And then we're gonna move on to sticking it onto our gnome and stick on the bow as well. In order to keep the shape of the tails, I added a little bit of hot glue in the areas where I had to fold them in order to create this V. And I'm just going to press it down to make sure that that is nice and secure. And then I remove it really quickly and glue it onto the gnome's hat right there. Then I come in with the bow and I'm going to hot glue it right onto the very tip of that tail. And there is how it's looking so far. And here we're going to add a little hanger. So I'm going to use the same exact ribbon that I used before. I am folding it. I'm creating like a loop and I'm going to stick it right on the back of the gnome. So I thought I was done here, but I asked my family what they thought about this. And they say, oh, it looks like an old decor piece from the 90s. So I'm like, okay, I guess I gotta brighten it up. So I decided to just dry brush some white onto the ring of the wreath, making sure to take care of the sides and the back as well. And here it is, all completed. Let me know how you like it. I love this little guy. I don't think it looks as great in the camera as it really does in person. Let me know what you think, if you had rather the wood stay the natural or you prefer this whitewash look. My friends, this video is part of a collaboration called What Would You Make? And it is hosted by Zana from OK at Home DIY, by Connie from Connie's Creative Creations, and the co-host this month is Lenny from Krafty Lenny. Their link to their channels and to their playlist will be in the description box below. DIY number 2. For this project, I'm going to use one of these wood rounds from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to stain it with my antique wax from Waverly. I really wanted it to be stained very lightly, so I used a wet wipe to apply it completely onto my surface. Once the wax dried, I'm taking some of my white paint in the same baby wipe that I used, and I just want to give this more of a dull look. So I just wiped it and blended it right into the same stain that I used, just making sure that I had no harsh lines, just to dull down the paint as I said before. Once that dried, I took some of my masking tape and I'm going to tape off the middle section of this round. Now I'm coming in using my Black & Decker paint and primer in the color bright white, and I gave this 2 complete, well actually 3 coats, painting both the bottom and the top section that was taped off. While that dried, I took one of these welcome signs from the Dollar Tree and I'm going to paint it with my celery color from Waverly. I used a dauber because I figured this was the best to not have as many streaks as you get when you use a paintbrush. I dried it with my heat gun. And then back to the wood round. I had a small area in which the white paint bleed through. So what I did is I took some more of the antique wax from Waverly, and I'm going to go ahead and go through the entire seam, just adding like a small border just to accentuate and at the same time cover any little imperfections. Then I came through with a piece of paper towel, just wiping off the excess and blending things in. Now it's time to attach this to the wood round. I just added a bit of hot glue in the areas in which they touch and placed it right down. Then I used these florals from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to cut them into individual stems, and I'm going to use 3 stems for each side. I'm just going to create a little swatch. Once I bunch the flowers together, I am just, turning them for them to be nice and neat, and bending the stems of the roses towards me a bit to make sure that the beautiful flowers are seen when I create this swatch. And then I just took a little piece of jute cord and I tied it on, and then I took another piece of jute cord, and I'm going to go ahead and wrap the jute completely around the middle of these 2 stems until they are nice and secure. I am not doing it too tight because I do want to maneuver this later on in case I need to readjust my flowers. Then I went ahead and I took a bit of hot glue and I attached the swatch right to the top middle portion of the wood round. And then I took some of this ribbon from the Dollar Tree and I'm going to create a bow. I just kept going like in a cross motion each time, trying to make the ribbon go on an angle so I can create 3 loops on each side, just like you see me there. And then I took and I scrunched it into the middle and tied it off with a piece of jute cord. I gave it a nice double knot and cut off the excess. Then I took another piece of the ribbon, and after I fluffed up my bow, I'm going to take another piece of the fabric or the ribbon there. I folded it into 3, and I'm going to go ahead and stick it right in the middle of my bow to hide the jute cord. And what I did, I just wrapped it around it, taped the very top of the piece of ribbon onto the bow, and then make sure that it was nice and taut, and did the same thing with the bottom of the bow. I love doing this because it gives the bow a nice finished look. Then I'm going to go ahead and check my things there, make sure that everything is nice and neat. And we need some tails. So I'm going to go ahead and take some more of the ribbon, and I'm going to create a loop like I did before in order to have the ribbon look in the same way. Since it's only printed on one side, I added a little bit of hot glue to make sure that that bend that I created is nice and secure. Then I'm going to go ahead and take that piece and dovetail the edges. I wanted to do a very deep dovetailing, so I make sure that I went pretty high when I was cutting. And there you see my tails. I'm going to attach it to the swatch first, trying to avoid that leaf that kept going to get stuck in there. But I went ahead and stuck it on there, added a little bit of hot glue on top of that ribbon top there also. And then I attached the bow right on top, and we have a nice cute little bow with the perfect little tails. Now I'm going to go ahead and fluff up my flowers, make sure that everything is looking nice and neat. Just adjusting, that's why I didn't glue it too much. So now we are going to create a little loop to hang our wreath from, and I did another loop like I showed you before, and I'm just going to use some hot glue to attach it to the back section of this wreath. But wait, I'm not done yet. I'm going to go ahead and take some of these beads from the Dollar Tree. I am splitting them in half. I don't remember how many I did, guys. I pretty much just did a pile hoping that it was enough. So then I took my wreath and I'm going to go ahead and put my beads on the edges. I used one bead to help me with the spacing, and once I knew exactly what the spacing would look like, I just, went and eyeballed it and completely added my little beads to the entire circumference of this wreath. I laid them out first because I wanted to make sure that it was nice and neat, and then I went back with some wood hot glue and I attached it to the entire portion of my wreath form. Then I took 2 stems of boxwood and glued them at each side where the flowers are, drooping down from the edges of the wood round. Then I took one of these home signs that come in a packet too from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to go ahead and paint it using my celery paint from Waverly, and I just gave it a single coat of paint. And then I attached it to the bottom of my wood round using some hot glue. And bam! This project is complete. Let me know how you like it. I love it. DIY number 3. For this project, I used one of these birdhouses from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to go ahead and use my Waverly Antique Wax to paint the roof area and the little base as well. I found it easier to use a small brush to do all the tiny ridges and corners, and then I'm going to go in with a bigger brush for the rest. To remove that piece of cord that I had in the middle, I just used my Cricut weeder, and I was able to pull it right out of that hole. And then I completed the back, and I am wiping off the excess, and I'm going to go ahead and dull it down by swiping some white paint onto the roof like I did with the previous DIY. And what I did to the top, I did to the little base as well. Then I came in with a small brush and some of my Black & Decker print and primer, and I am doing all the little edges with a small brush, making sure not to get paint on my stained surfaces. And once that was done, I came in with a bigger brush and I did 3 coats of paint to the middle section of the house. While the house dried, I took one of these crates from the Dollar Tree, removed the sticker, and I gave it 3 coats of Black & Decker print and primer paint. Then I took one of these dowel rods that I got from Walmart. Guys, for some reason I can't find dowel rods at my local Dollar Tree. So you guys having shortages as well? Let me know in the comments. Anyway, I took some of the antique wax and I stained the dowel rod with it using a wet wipe to remove any excess. Then I came in and I did the same, and I added some paint to the dowel rod and blended it in. Then I took some of these craft sticks from Dollar Tree and I'm just cutting off the little edge for one of the sides of it. I don't know what was the deal with this craft stick. I could not cut it. So I had to go long ways and I just cut each side until they met in the middle. Then I cut the other side. I just put the piece of craft stick against the little crate and to make sure what size it was. Then that I did the first one and it was fine, I went and I traced it over others, and I'm just going to cut a total of 8 pieces of craft sticks. And then I'm going to go ahead and paint it with my celery Waverly paint in both the back, front, and the little edges as well. And now that my craft sticks are dry, I'm going to take the crate, put it right there, and we're going to add these little pieces onto the corners. So I just make sure one side was flush against the edge, and then the other piece will be a little bit out of the edge but flush with the paint, the craft stick. I don't know if that makes any sense, but you can see there what I mean. Like I just place it down, put a combination of wood glue and wood hot glue, and added my little corners that way. And this is how it's looking so far. Now that the birdhouse is dry, I took some of the same celery paint I used previously and paint in the little flower that is at the very top. Now it's time to assemble everything. So I took my drill and I took a drill bit that was the same size as my dowel rod, and I'm going to go ahead and mark an X going from one side to the other and tracing the center. And then I'm going to drill right at that point where the 2 lines meet. And I'm going to just wedge my dowel rod in there nice and tight, and I'm going to put a little bit of hot glue in the corners to hold it in place. Then I came in with some of this floral moss, floral foam from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to cut a piece that is big enough to go inside the crate, but I wanted those little ends to be covered with the moss. So I put the moss on top of each of the sides of the floral foam there, so it will come out of the little handle sides of the crate. I don't have to worry about filling it out later. And then I just added hot glue to the top and completely covered that with moss as well. Then I cut the excess moss to make everything nice and neat, and make sure to fill in all the places that were any bald spots. Now it's time to go ahead and put the birdhouse right in the middle of my crate there, just pushing it down, completely down into the middle of my crate. And we are going to embellish this with some of these roses from the Dollar Tree. I placed them on each of the corners of the crate there first, and then I went over and put one in the middle of the long sides of the crate, if that makes any sense. You can see there exactly what I mean. So I put 3 in the front, 3 in the bottom. And then I'm coming in with some of these yellow roses from the Dollar Tree. This one have a little bit of a speck of pink in there. I thought they worked well together, so I'm going to add those in between of each one of the pink roses. My friends, don't forget to subscribe. It is free and it means the world to me. Then I came in with some boxwood that I got from Walmart, and I did 2 little stems I cut off and I put on each side of the little birdhouse. And this is how it's looking so far. Then I took a bow and put it right on that hole, and look at that, guys. It is absolutely gorgeous. Look how cute that is. I love this one, guys. I cannot tell you which one is my favorite. You guys, please let me know in the comment section below which one is your favorite, and if you like to recreate it. And if you do recreate it, please send me a photo. I would love to see it. Friends, as always, thank you so much for watching, for spending time with me. Be blessed, be a blessing, and craft responsibly. And if you like to follow me on social media, here are my social media links. And don't forget, go visit my friends in the playlist and let them know that Loli sent you. Okay, guys, bye.